Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Patient First Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Laskin. And today, if you've been with this podcast at all, about once a month, we have my absolute favorite segment. You know what that is? Of course, it is books applied to dentistry. I love taking books, and not just business books, all sorts of books, but today we do have a business book, and we're going to apply it to your business, your practice, your team. And even if you're a patient listening to this, I think you'll get some value out of this, because this is an overarching theme. Even if it's you're talking about your family members, this book will be valuable for you today. That book, of course, is the 6 Types of Working Genius. I don't know why I said of course, but it's the 6 Types of Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. Now, if you've read any of Patrick Lencioni's books, most notably, I think, is Five Dysfunctions of a Team. This is written in the same style, and most people love the style. I personally have a tough time reading the style because it's like you're listening to other people's meetings. Now, don't let that turn you off from the content, though, because it's a great, great book. And frankly, most people like it. But for me, listening to somebody else's meetings or reading about somebody else's meetings can be a bit of a challenge. But it's a very quick read, and it is definitely worth the journey. Working Genius really talks about the strengths and frustrations of individuals working as a team together to achieve something. It's the workflow of an idea through execution, and where everybody fits into that equation. Everybody has 2 working geniuses, as Patrick Lencioni defines them, and 2 working frustrations. And then the middle one is it's competency, which means you can do it, but if you do it too much, you are going to burn out. So there's an acronym that he describes 6 types of working geniuses, and that acronym is WIDGET. So each one of the letters in WIDGET responds or corresponds to one of the steps in taking an idea from idea to execution. So working with the team across all of these. And so everybody has 2. Maybe you're a GE, or you're a WI, or you're a IT. Those are your strengths. Everybody has 2 competencies, I believe they're called, where that's the things that you can do, but they burn you out after a while. And everybody has 2 frustrations, meaning if you have to do it, it just frustrates you. But every single one of these letters in the acronym WIDGET is important to get you across the goal line, from conceiving up something to getting it through to execution. And so WIDGET stands for these 6 terms. Number one, the W in WIDGET stands for wonder. People who have a strength of wonder like asking why. They ponder the questions of the universe. One of my frustrations, so I don't quite understand it. You'd think, because I like inventing things, that I do a lot of wonder, but actually it's one of my frustrations. Just sitting around and asking why are things the way they are without coming up with a solution. That's what wonder is. The next step, invention, is one of my strengths, is looking for solutions to problems that exist. So you go from kind of conceptualizing, well, why are things the way they are, to solving a problem, to discernment, which means, is this actually worth doing? So you can invent lots of things, but is it worth it? Does this problem really, should this problem be solved? And is this the way to solve it? Is this the best way to solve something? That is discernment. Next up, and these are purposely divided because these are all sort of conceptualizing. And then when you get to galvanizing, that is organizing the team together to implement the solution. These are cheerleaders, right? At least the way that I understand it. I'm obviously interpreting Patrick Lencioni's work here. Then next up, we have enablement, and enablement is the glue that holds the team together. So these are the supporters. Everybody loves the enablers because they help get your things done, right? And so that's what enablement is. And then tenacity completes the task. So that's taking something where you're all the way doing it to actually getting it to done. Now, for people with tenacity, right, they think, why is this even a skill? In fact, many of these, if you have that skill, you don't even realize that it's a skill of yours. However, so if it's a frustration of yours, you probably feel that keenly. keenly. And so that's the acronym WIDGET that describes these are the six working geniuses that are available. And again, like I said before, everybody has two that are their strengths and two that are their frustrations. So, the funny thing is that, like I said, if you have those strengths, you might not even recognize it. So, for me, I'm a discerning inventor. So I am a ID, and I that's played out, probably heard on this podcast, all the things that I create. And actually, they do provide value because I'm discerning about it. Now, one of the things that my middle two include tenacity. So I can get stuff done, but most of my team, frustration was tenacity. So that means that we didn't take things through completion. And holy man, so it was on me to do the completion most of the time. And I got frustrated having I still do when I have to remind people to get stuff when it's 90% of the way done. It's just like all we need to do is that one little thing and it'll be completed. But yet we just sit there in the sort of in the WID phase and we're reinventing without creating the last mile. And when we mapped out the team over here at Tooth Apps, it was obvious, obvious what we were missing. And it was the GET piece, particularly the T, getting things done. And what's funny is when I think back about other high performance teams I've been on, including my dental practice, that Lake Minnetonka Dental, there was times when it was super healthy and balanced, and we had the right people focused on the right things, the right people inventing and discerning. That'd be me mainly, and then just people who were getting stuff done, just getting shiitake done. That GET piece, and there was a healthy balance. So it might be your family too. If you think about it, are you guys doers and then or not, or are you thinkers, right? So how do we apply this to dentistry? This obviously, if it applied to everybody, it also applies to dentistry. But I'd like you to think about it. If it's your team, if it's your family, if it's your dental practice, assess your team. There's an easy 10-minute assessment. Although I think you probably have a good idea what your strengths are anyway, thinking about it. But it's a pretty easy assessment if you go to Patrick Lencioni's website. If you Google the six working geniuses, you'll be able to find that survey easily. It's a very easy assessment that will tell you what your strengths are. In my team, like I said, we had way too much WID, and not enough GET on the team, which led to specific opportunities, but also some real problems. We just weren't getting this velocity of getting things done that we needed to. So we've added people with those skills, with the GET skills, and you can immediately feel it. We're just getting stuff done. And frankly, just recognizing what's going on. And so I can say to somebody who's not taking something through completion, rather than saying I have to take it through completion, I can say, pretend like you have some tea and get this across the goal line. And they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great, great communication tool. So, what are the issues that you have with your team? Do you get everything done, but you have trouble deciding what to do, or you don't do anything new? Well, you're probably missing the WID. So can bring somebody on the team, or maybe find a friend that has some WID to talk about, because everything to get something done, you have to know what are we doing, and that's where the WID comes in. Or maybe you have the opposite issue like my team did, where you're having trouble getting things across the goal line, even though you have amazing ideas that are 95% of the way there, right? Then just enroll some GET, or act like you have it until you have somebody on your team that has some GET, or just recognize that this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a frustration, not a problem, and that somebody's going to have to buckle up and get it done, GET it done, right? Get it done so that you can get things across the goal line more frequent. So, on my team, one of the things that we've implemented over here at Tooth Apps and Upgrade Dental is we have two separate meeting types, WID meetings and GET meetings. So we've split it in two because if you think about it, the WID skills are conceptualizing, thinking about the big picture, and then discerning what do we want to do. And that is one style of meeting. And we can feel the difference in these meetings. The second meetings, the GET meetings, are the GSD meetings. This is where shiitake happens, right? We actually work on tasks until they're done in these meetings. If, for example, we're putting together a podcast, now that's usually just me in my office, so I've got to do the WID and then the GET myself. But if we're doing a presentation, or let's say we're going to do a trade show, or we're coming up with a new product, right? There's going to be aspects where you just need to buckle down and get stuff done. And that's where the GET meetings get together. You as a team work together, getting stuff done. We're not thinking about what we're working on, we're just working on it. So, one idea for you, if you want to implement this after reading the book, which I highly would recommend, is to split your meetings into WID, GET, map everybody out, and look where the gaps are, or just celebrate the fact that you have a great balanced team and recognize where the opportunities are, where the challenges are. I've taken a lot of different surveys and personality tests and things like that. And every one of them has some validity. Things like, the Myers Briggs or Colby or Tilt, or, there's a whole bunch of them. But what's unique about this working genius is that it's talking about you as a team, where your strengths lie, getting things accomplished. And that's very unique, and I think very helpful. And it's been helpful for my team. And hopefully this books applied to dentistry has been helpful for you. It's a thing, even like I said, even we're implementing it in my family too, because some people are. My wife is a GET, or she likes getting stuff done. It's organized and like checking the to dos off her to do list. And I'm obviously a discerning inventor, so I like thinking about what we're going to do. I can say, "Oh, let's go on a vacation," and I want to have it be X amount of time, and then, but when it comes to actually scheduling it, that gets passed off. So that's one example that you can in your work life to help achieve some balance between the people in your life. So, and it's a good shared language to have with everyone. So hopefully this has been helpful, and I look forward to, of course, seeing you right here next week on the Patient First Podcast.